We need to get legalized marijuana here. That needs to happen right now, especially if we're projecting to have a $4.5 billion deficit over the course of 2 to 3 years. How is the state planning on making up that revenue? By taxing us. Now we talk about how to make this relevant for GOP. That's why I keep asking you, how do we get other folks to care about these issues that we know are issues? We know we have these disparities. How do we get other people who do have decision-making power to care about it? Well, we put it in terms like this. If we don't legalize marijuana and figure out creative ways to generate more revenue, then guess what? There's going to be no more farmer incentive packages or tax cuts.
You got to bring them to the.
That's how you hit them, right? You hit their base. Who supports them? Greater Minnesota farm industry, agriculture industry. That's what we built off. That's what's running our country. We got the Iron Ranges up north, and then we got farming all around. That's the culture that we have, and you know that. Yeah. So you got to know your demographic, right? If we don't get marijuana legalization through, if we don't figure out creative ways to generate more revenue besides taxing folks, then there's going to be no more any types of tax benefits, tax breaks, any other types of resources going to these industries if we don't do it. And in fact, it's probably going to be a lot of cuts.
Why do you think they don't want to legal? Why do you think there's a push to not legalize marijuana?
I hate to keep coming back to this racism thing, but I kind of have to, this white supremacy thing. If we legalize marijuana here, there's a few different things that are going to happen as a result of it. We no longer can prosecute in the state. Feds can come in and do whatever they want to do because it still will be federally illegal according to the Controlled Substances Act of 1970, right? But state-wise, if the legislature right now passed a bill legalizing marijuana, there's a few things depending on the language of the bill. They would first have to form some type of commission, right, to handle the regulation. It'll be a regulatory board over this new industry, and they will be appointed by the governor. I think this is the current language that's in that bill now. They would be these commissioners will be appointed by the governor or whatever. They will make all the legislation and policies related to the sale of marijuana, right, and the use of it. So a few things would happen. You would no longer then will be able to use marijuana as a way to get access to people's cars and persons, right? Suspicion, right? You can't claim that anymore, right? Because it's a legal substance now. Just like now, if they create laws saying that you can't drive while high or whatever, that's a different thing. But even if it's the smell in your clothes, you could just say, "Oh, I smoked earlier at my house. I'm not high right now," and that will be enough, right? The mere smell of it can no longer be probable cause to search your persons and to search your property. So then we'll see tickets decrease. We'll see a lot of people not have, or we see mass incarceration from that perspective decrease because now that's no longer something that's illegal. It's legal now. And then what we'd also see is that there will probably potentially be some language in the bill to have some type of, what I'm going to call it, I'm just going to call it reparations, right, piece, where a certain amount of licenses and certain amount of certifications will be reserved for people of color and these communities that have been severely impacted by criminalization of marijuana, right? So that would mean we're producing jobs, and not only jobs, but careers, businesses for people who were formerly impacted by marijuana. That's going to be a no-no. That's going to be a no. So now you're talking about something. Not only are we no longer charging folks for marijuana-related crimes, but we're giving them pathways to create businesses and salaries and good-paying jobs off of marijuana.
How dare you?
How dare you do such a thing? How dare you? And that's why there's so much pushback. For so long, we've had this mentality where a person is bad because they smoke marijuana. Especially in the state of Minnesota. I don't think that's true. I don't think it's because you smoke weed, you're a bad dad. Or because you smoke weed, you're a bad professor. Or because you smoke weed, you're a bad lawyer. Now, is there a time and a place for using substances? Of course. It's the same thing as alcohol. If a person drinks, and I think if you look at the statistics, I mean, lawyers, heavy drinkers, most of them, a lot of them are. The statistics why, and also the profession with the largest amounts of suicides, right? By profession. But if we look at that, if a person has a drinking problem, they could still be a great attorney, as long as they don't show up drunk to do their job.
Look at Mike Freeman.
Yeah, but you see the point I'm making? Yeah. But we don't have that same mentality when it comes to alcohol because, one, it's legal, and it's also within their culture.